Starting off in Iraq, President Obama addressing the situation again today, saying he won't be sending any U.S. troops into the country. Oil up on the news, and fears of more disruptions in the market could push prices even higher. Joining me now, Jim Frischling of New Oak, James Freeman of the Wall Street Journal, and Fox Business's very own Jolene Kent. I mean, this is a story that's getting bigger. We can't take our eyes off it. Joe, what do you think?
Well, we're just watching oil prices. I think that's what the major concern is among investors right now. But there has yet to be more specifics laid out. John Boehner, the speaker, calling for more specifics from President Obama.
Yeah, James, what do you think?
Well, there's a danger here that Baghdad could fall. It's kind of amazing because this army marching on the capital is only about 5,000 guys, but they're fanatics. So even though you have a couple 100,000 in the Iraqi army, there's a risk. And if it falls, these are not people who are probably going to have the expertise to raise production.
Yeah, Jim, something for investors to focus on or back burner?
No, I think a combination of the summer season, which brings an increase in travel, therefore increased demand for gas and jet fuel. And also, there's been a lot of geopolitical risk. The Iraqi one is right now, but
yeah.
Libya is down, Russia's down. They keep expecting the Gulf, the Saudi and whatnot to increase production, but there's only so much they can do.
And Iran is in on this story as well. We're going to drill down on that a little bit deeper in the show. But now, Priceline ordering up a table for two, $2.6 billion to be exact. Its deal sending OpenTable shares flying, and competitors are seeing a nice pop, as well as speculation grows about who will be the next target. Joe, you're our tech guru. Give me your take on this.
OpenTable is a smart acquisition for Priceline in so many ways. If you look at the themes of M&A for 2014, it's all about localization and personalization. And so here we're seeing Priceline say, look, not only are we going to help you get those high margin things, taking care of your price or your flight and your hotel, but we're also going to go into the smaller margin and help you figure out where you want to eat. And what they have here is a chance to really build their business out in the U.S. Priceline's successful here, but they're really successful in Europe. OpenTable could expand there. They're only in 18 other countries around the world right now.
Does this deal make as much sense to you guys, or is this more, does it feel like that .com bubble froth type stuff?
Well, I think it's interesting. A few weeks ago, we were talking about whether there was a real correction underway. A lot of the recent tech IPOs taking a hit, but obviously, you would say this is a very bullish signal from Priceline.
I guess unless it's been in the works for a while and it had deal momentum and they just kept going.
Yeah, but that's a lot of money. You know, they're trying to consolidate here, strategic sense, but they don't see a correction coming.
Jim, what do you think as an investor?
It works. Here in the States, OpenTable, restaurants are outsourcing the reservations to OpenTable, almost in the same way that many companies outsource the marketing arm to Facebook or as a customer interface. OpenTable is becoming that much embraced, so I think it's a win for Priceline.
Speaking of IPOs, when $20 billion just isn't enough, potential Alibaba investors demanding more details about who exactly is behind the curtain of the internet giant. Joe, what kind of more details do they want, and what are they going to find out?
One of the key things people want to know is who is the Alibaba partnership, the 28 people who own a big stake of the company. That's very important when it comes to corporate governance and looking forward. There's also been a little bit of drama over the past few years in China over Alibaba. We're also looking for more numbers on users and drilling down there. There's also some concern about Alibaba and the Chinese government as well. We probably won't get those kinds of disclosures in this document. They could come either today or next week, but more specifics. Alibaba was very light.
Okay, and virtual currency lovers calling foul as more than 17 million in Bitcoin gets ready to flood the market. So this is the FBI is auctioning off all this Bitcoin. It's depressing the price of Bitcoin. James, what do you think?
Well, at a depressed price, $600, still way above where it was a few years ago. And remember, this has no intrinsic value. So I think the story to me is how high it's still rated. And it's obviously a lot of volatility, but people see this as a great payment mechanism.
This was part of the FBI's crackdown last year on Silk Road. So they seized this. Now they're going to go ahead and auction it off. I mean, I don't know. It's interesting to see the government getting deeper and deeper into this business one way or the other.
I mean, I feel like an old curmudgeon because I'm still so suspect, and yet I probably shouldn't be so suspect, but the lack of transparency, which is the very reason why people seem to like it, the lack of government controls, but then the very fact that...
But then the government's in it. They're the one that's selling it off.
And now that the government's in it, but again, to me, it's more trouble ahead, and I'm staying away from it.
Yeah, Joe?
I think Bitcoin is very much about the future of payments. What is very interesting here to watch is Bitcoin 2.0, how things become more stable, or if they're able to achieve that, looking at companies like Bitcoin and all Coinbase. These are companies that are getting a lot of investment from some of the smartest VCs out there.
Even companies like Overstock and who are saying that they're taking it as payment. You see more and more getting on the bandwagon. I don't know. All right, so he may be the next House Majority Leader, but who exactly is Kevin McCarthy? For one thing, he is in with the cool crowd. I don't know if you knew that, calling the likes of Elon Musk, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Kevin Spacey his buds. He's proud of his selfie collection. I mean, right there, he's sort of.
Yeah.
What do you think about this guy?
Cantor, I think, lost in part because he was the tallest tree getting the most wind. Now you have a guy that people says no one dislikes him, no one likes him. It seems like he's almost succeeding by keeping his head somewhat below water despite those famous friends he has. But it seems he's just non-controversial.
Yeah, not a game changer, career politician, palatable to all wings of the Republican coalition. But I think the real question is going to be who is the next speaker. John Boehner. As far as, maybe it's not the end of the year, maybe it's later than that, but at some point you're going to get another speaker, and it might not be McCarthy.
Well, I mean, when you look at McCarthy, it doesn't matter. He's friends with a lot of people in Silicon Valley. I mean, that's one of the things that people are pointing to. Is he a friend of business, or is he just a friend of everyone, and that's kind of the politician in him? What do you think? Anybody?
Well, generally pro-business, but I think the more conservative wing in the House wants people to be more pro-market, and that's where you look at people like Paul Ryan, Jeb Hensarling, who want open markets, and if big business wins, that's okay. If small business wins, that's great too.
How scared is he going to be of that, though? Because, I mean, that is the rap that Eric Cantor got there at the end. You know, he was in the pocket of Wall Street. He didn't do enough after the financial crisis. He had too many ties to Goldman Sachs. And then in the very end, he wasn't hard enough on immigration. He was too much middle of the road. I mean, it sounds like Kevin McCarthy's at least that and more.
Yeah. I mean, maybe a little different focus. He's a Westerner, Californian, so I think that's good to the extent the Republican Party is listening more to Silicon Valley than to Wall Street in terms of the innovation culture and what it takes to create new businesses.
Okay. I can't let you go without showing you a picture of this. I mean, this is really unbelievable. Firefighters in Lake Whitney, Texas. So they set this mansion on fire. As it's falling off a cliff, I expect Wile E. Coyote to come in the picture at any moment. They're burning the house down before the whole thing collapses into a lake. Local authorities there saying that they didn't have too many options when it came to demolishing the collapsing home. I would imagine there weren't a lot of other options. If they settled on burning the house down as like their best idea, I would love to know what the other ones were. And get this, the homeowner's going to have to pay for the whole operation, even the cleanup, which seems fair enough to me. Where's the builder? I mean, did anyone see this
video?
That
was the first question I had.
Right, who built the house that's falling off the cliff that needs to be, where burning down is like the best option?
I want to know who insured it. Who insured that house? Because I think they might have an issue with paying on that fire claim if it comes up.
They tell you before they do that to your house, right?
Right.
I don't know. Plan.
It was planned. There's a plan in my neighborhood. They definitely give you a call before they light it up.
I think so.
Right?
Well, they're going to give him the bill, so I would hope that they gave him a call ahead of time. I mean, I just expect the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote to be coming around the edge of the cliff somewhere to be in on this. I don't know. Wow. All right. Anything strange happening to you today? It is Friday the 13th, and though I'm not normally superstitious, there are a few unusual things happening today. Solar flares that could knock out power and a rare full moon that's not going to be seen again for another 3 decades. So the moon that we're going to see tonight won't be around again until 2049, all on Friday the 13th. I think it's quite an omen.
Are you howling at the moon yet?
I might later. It's been a long day already. I'm going to have a few cocktails when this show is over, and I might be
I'll join you.
Perfect. I would love that. You guys in?
I mean, they've been talking about this could potentially be Armageddon, and while it's not, my nieces and nephews understand that their cellular service might be disrupted tonight, and to them, that's as bad as anything that can happen.
Not Armageddon. Have you been watching what's going on in the World Cup? There's been more than a few snafus. I mean, maybe that's where Friday the 13th is visiting.
Well, the fact that a lot of soccer's on TV is a bad omen right there.
Yes.
Come on.
There were 2 or 3 people out there who were upset by your comment. All right, thanks, guys. Brazil struggling through World Cup preparations, but on opening day of competition, the host nation finally got to see their team take to the field, only to watch one of their defenders score into his own goal. Back now to discuss the World Cup's rocky start, Jim Frischling and James Frischling. Now, I don't know a lot about soccer, and I don't really play soccer, but I have a feeling that kicking the ball into your own goal is not a good thing.
It is frowned upon.
It is frowned upon,
in most countries,
societies.
in most countries, it's frowned upon.
Isn't Brazil Brazil like good or slash the hosts of these games? Were they unclear on sort of which goal was theirs, or did you watch this, or like everybody else, neither of you were watching?
No, like a lot of American sports fans, I've never really gotten that into it. I mean, I think it's a fun game to play. Kids like to play it, but as a spectator sport, I think the problem is the flopping. The constant diving, pretending to be fouled. It's just
drama.
Where do you think LeBron James learns the flops?
No, but this is beyond faking a foul. This is clutching your knee and pretending you've been mortally wounded. It's just
okay.
Brazil's the heavy favorite to actually win this thing.
Yeah. So the goal into the wrong goal was like not.
It will be discarded. It will be forgotten.
They will be forgotten. They were not the only ones to get off to kind of a shaky start. I don't know if you saw this, but J-Lo and Pitbull also running into some trouble. Their opening number when their grand entrance failed to go as planned. We have video of this. Okay, so look, so they're coming up on that raised pit thing. So it stops, short of the goal, which is kind of typical for what's going on in Brazil right now. Poor Pitbull had to give her a hand and sort of hoist her off the platform. And then there's the whole question about what's going on with Pitbull's pants. I mean, talk about dad pants. I think he's wearing little kid pants that he's trying to fit on a dad body. They're like up underneath his armpits. Rolled up. Look at that. That's not good.
You're a tough critic. He's a gamer. He stepped in. He helped her out when there was a problem.
I mean, he should get credit for that. But look at that. They're like, what happened? That was embarrassing. The audio was horrendous. You couldn't tell what they were doing. They're mortified. They're trying to put a good face on. Poor J-Lo. She should go back to the block.
Very symbolic of actually the whole setup, all the constructions, the roads, the stadiums. But now that the action's on, I'm telling you, you take the World Cup, it's like every major U.S. sporting event rolled up into
I know.
one.
I think
that
J-Lo
looked
probably
more entertaining than the games, though. So I'm giving a thumbs up to that.
Thumbs up. I don't know. I think she came off the stage and fired everyone involved. Her agent was fired. Her publicist. You're all fired. All right. Finally, a fungus among us. The World Cup, one of Brazil soccer's fields invaded by a tropical fungus, forcing groundskeeper to spray paint the infected field green in order to maintain appearances. This sort of says it all. So this grass, riddled with fungus, they're spraying it green. I mean, they're like, it's like Scotch tape and needle nose pliers to get through the end of these games. I mean, they just sort of spray paint whatever you got. Bubble gum. I mean, hoist J-Lo up onto the thing. There you go. I got nothing else to say. Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend. That's all we have for you. I hope you're making money today.